It is an inherently violent religion, if ever I've known it. I was getting into my car, November 2015. I'd reported to the police. I've had these mosque meetings. It's been revealed to me that this clan family is going to have me done over. The police dismissed it as per usual, and a few months later I was getting to my car and I got pounced by these, if you like, baseball wielding thugs.
Masked?
Yes. I was quite brutally pummeled.
They beat you up with baseball bat?
With baseball, yeah. I actually fell backwards and hit my back of my head on a wall. I was concussed and I was just almost out of the count. And they pummeled me mercilessly. And I remember thinking, Lord, this is it. Actually, and the best I could do was to put my hand over my head to stop it from being bludgeoned in.
Okay, Nissar, thanks for joining me.
Yeah.
You have a very big story to tell. We were at Coptic Solidarity Conference in Washington, D.C. earlier, and I heard your story, and it was one of the very few that piqued my ear from all the people talking, because you are in Islamic law, what would be called an apostate. You were born into a Muslim Pakistani family. Yeah. And you became a Christian. And unlike many other people, we hear about these things. We hear about the violence and the threats, but you almost died on more than one occasion. So please tell us your story.
Yeah, well, Raymond, before I go there, I want to say it's such a privilege to be with you. It really is.
That's my honor.
The Lord works in mysterious ways. Just some days ago, I came across you a few weeks ago. Forgive me, I should have got there sooner. I've heard of your book, though. Okay. My daughter read your book, The Sword and the Scimitar.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I sort of placed the name and the face. So we're here in Washington, and it was, again, it's a God thing, because I wasn't meant to be there, but I through another contact, she contacted Lindsay. She said, Nissar is here, and I'll contact him, and you contact him, and he should be there. Yeah. And so this is how we're meeting.
So Providence.
Yeah, Providence. Yes. Amen. Yes, sir. So getting back to your question. So I'm born to Pakistani parents. So I'm of Pakistani Kashmiri heritage. And so my parents emigrated in the very early 60s. I'm born in 65. And so we are 4 siblings, but one passed away, and that's what brought me to the Christian faith in 96 through my younger brother Iftikhar. He passed in 96, and so from then on, nothing, as I expressed earlier, nothing has prepared me. Having been raised under British freedoms, British everything that you could sort of expect from British democracy.
And we should point out, you were born in you were born in Britain.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I'm born in Britain, so I'm classed as first generation. Yeah. So where I have children, they have children, very young, third, but there are third generation Pakistanis, teenagers, young people, who are staunchly, almost Arabic in their dress code and their conduct. This is in the UK.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, well, of course. But so we suffered persecution, my family and I, from 96 onwards, all the way to my brutal attack in November of 2015.
Now your family is Muslim originally?
Yes.
And you converted in 96?
96.
Did your entire family?
No, just myself. But if I can backtrack a little bit, I had a conversion experience at the age of 15.
Okay.
Through my school friend, an English school friend. Actually, to be honest, it was a racist. It wasn't particularly that uncommon, but on the whole, I would go back yesterday to that era if I could, compared to what we've lived through.
Interesting.
It was pretty tame. But John Lennon, that was his full name. So he came to the Christian faith. He was what I came to know as a born-again believer. His whole transformation from a punk rocker, what we'd call a skinhead, if you're familiar with that. Ear piercings, tattoos, Mohican haircut, Dr. Martin boots, tight pants.
Yeah, total skinhead.
Oh, yeah. And so his conversion experience blew me away. And I surmised in my heart of hearts that could only be the power of God. So he's the complete contrast to what he was prior to becoming a born-again Christian. Now, I didn't know what a born-again Christian was. He had a book which I came to know as the Bible in a carrier bag, and every given opportunity, in a 15-minute break or whatever, he would pull this book out. I didn't know it was a Bible, and you'd be reading it. His whole persona, so different, honestly. I was just attracted to him like a magnet, and then I got to converse with him, and he's telling me he's born again, and I didn't know when he explained to me. And this is the Bible, the Old Testament. We're talking, and we're engaged, 4 or 5 of us. And I remember him saying to me, look, would you want to meet my pastor? So I didn't know what a pastor was. But prior to that point, he imparted to me over the coming few weeks, the New Testament. And we're taught it's a lie. Mm-hmm. It's a lie of the devil. It's a lie. The Christians have corrupted this book and blah, blah, blah.
Taharruf in Arabic.
Haruf, okay. Yeah. It's taboo. It's you mustn't touch it and you mustn't blah, blah, blah. But I took it from him. So I put it in my blazer pocket and I go home and I'm quite nervous. I don't know why, but I was anxious and nervous. And then I put it under my mattress, and every evening I would read the gospel message, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Mm-hmm. I came to faith in my bedroom, believing at age of 15 that I was a sinner wretch and that Christ had died for my sins and he was the way, the truth, and the life. And so I made a confession of faith. Mm-hmm. But I was terrified. I wouldn't dare tell them I was a Christian. And
your parents?
My parents.
Yeah. Were your parents religious?
Actually, no.
Okay.
My father was a sort of people's man, 6'4" of him, worked for British industry, British car manufacturers, Monday to Friday, come Friday, suit and tie, very smart, dapper, out to a local pub, sitting with English fellow, mates and people he knew. Mm-hmm. My father's generation, even the menfolk of the relatives, uncles and whatever, they drank.
No, I know. They were much more secular than the newer generation.
Much more secular. Yeah. And they wanted to mix, and they mixed, and it's just like, we grew up with a lot of English mates, English friends. Mm-hmm.
So very assimilated.
Very
Unlike
assimilated.
These more recent, yes.
Oh,
yes.
It's a different world. Yeah. It's a different world, brother. And in and out of friends' houses, English friends' houses, and such like. And it was fantastic. We didn't know any different, So, again, every British freedom I was raised and brought up with. And so, fast forward some years later, here I am in 1996. Through my brother's death, Iftikhar, he died very suddenly, age of 29. I was 30 by now, married with 2 young children. And it was the most painful, traumatic experience of my life.
Accident?
Actually, very sadly, he was hooked on codeine Linctus cough mixture. And the family GP, I don't think there was much knowledge even for a GP. So he used to suffer from coughs. So there was a bit of asthma in the family. So the GP prescribed him codeine Linctus. It has opiates in there. He basically developed a taste for nasha, meaning, the high. So he got a flavor for the high. So from the age of 13, he's been given these prescriptions on a regular basis. And by the time he was 15, he was drinking 2 pints of the stuff a day. And come at the age of 29, he basically dropped dead. Organ failure, he had pancreatitis, and we never had any knowledge. I used to see all these bottles strewn around the house. And then other times he would bag them up in a black bin liner, throw it in the bin and whatnot. And we had no idea, He kind of battled with it till the day of his death. He literally just struck dead, and a very, very painful period of my life. And my father had semi-retired over in Pakistan. And my older sisters, 2 of my older sisters, I had now settled. I'd left Birmingham, settled in Bradford. I was nursing there. And they broke the news to me and my kid brother, and they wanted me to come straight away, which I did, of course, to break the news to my mother. They hadn't told my mother, and very, very dark time. And then they said, you have to phone Dad. And so they left it to me to phone my father. When I broke the news to him, he was obviously very distraught and almost hysterical over the phone. And so he said, I want you to bring his casket for burial. They have a family a burial yard, in the particular village where they reside. So I took Iftikhar's casket along with my family members, and we buried it. But prior to burial, I was so broken. I just felt that, look, what time had come to rededicate my life to Christ. And I said, Lord, you know what, you've seen fit to take my brother and the circumstances he went, and you know full well, and I need you. And I've been running and ducking and diving. And so
from 15 with Mr. John Lennon
Yeah.
until this is now, you said 96 or
96.
You're 30 years old?
I'm 30 years old.
So 15, you became a Christian, but you were kind of maybe lukewarm until this point?
Actually, I was quite serious about Christian faith at the time.
Okay.
But I was so petrified because I felt I was the only Christian back in 81, 82. I was the only convert in the world. And because of that brainwashing, that the Christians, are this and they're that, the Bible's a lie, I never knew of what the consequence would be, i.e. Sharia, under Sharia law. And as you know, Raymond, that it's the law manual for every Muslim to follow. And I wanted to point out page 595. Apostasy mandates death, as you know. Yeah, so I knew the repercussions were going to be serious and very bad for myself, but I never knew it carries a mandatory death sentence if you don't. They give you 3 days, right? Some of that nature. To recount your.
But now your fear was not towards your parents because they're not very religious.
No, yeah, actually, I feared. My father ruled with a rod of iron. He had his good moments, but to go back to that point, what happened was that I fell asleep with the New Testament on my chest, and as Pakistani mothers do, they want to come into your bedroom and sort of stroke your forehead and and turn the light off, whatever. And my mother found the new. It was a Gideon New Testament. So she took that. The reason I say that, because the following morning, as soon as I opened my bedroom door, she was screaming and shouting at the bottom of the landing. And it instilled a fear of God.
But your father's not there.
My father's not there. And she threatened to go to my father, and that instilled a fear of God in me. And she wouldn't have known that it was a New Testament. She would have gone to my sisters, and said, look, and they would have said, oh my God, this is the Kuffar's New Testament. And that was it. And honestly, it instilled such fear. I was petrified she was going to go to my father. And anyway, she didn't do. I fell away from fellowship, fell away from meeting each Sunday, and backslidden. So I kind of gave the impression that I'm a Muslim, going through, again, using that word, rigmarole, going through the motion of being a Muslim. But in my heart of hearts, I knew that Christ was Lord. I'd go to the mosque, none of this, the wudu and this ceremonial washing. I'll kick off my shoes, sit there, and I'll just flick through the Quranic pages, natter here and talk here and joke with all the others. And they although they weren't a Christian like myself, a newborn, or a new Christian, but it's almost like you sat there being whipped and ears yanked and kicked and thumped under duress. It's quite traumatic, actually.
Okay, so this is fascinating. I just want to pause now because I have certain questions and observations which I find are very interesting, and most people probably won't understand, but I think you will. Which is, it seems to me you're not coming from a pious, religious, observant, serious Muslim family. On the other hand, they are very. When your mom saw you with the Bible, and your father, even though he assimilates and drinks with his friends. So I think why I find that interesting is because people assume that you have to be religious about Islam to be the kind of parent who's angry, but a secular Muslim won't mind. And my theory, and you can help me understand this, is Islam amongst Muslims is almost like a pride, an honor, a national identity. It's not even about a theology, which means that when you do what you did, you are becoming a traitor to your people. So it's not that they even believe in the Quran. It's not that they're religious, let's say your family per se, or in particular, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. But I think I find this a lot with a lot of Muslims. It's just that maybe they don't even believe in the Quran, but it's like if you, my son, or whoever leaves Islam, it's seen as a betrayal of our people. And what do you think?
100%. My analysis is this. It's a blind leap of faith. You're grown into this thing. It is more cultural than it is religious.
Exactly that.
Yeah. And shame, honor, dishonor,
yes,
which is a big thing, especially with the Pakistanis. They, they'll kill their daughters for the sake of honor and dishonor. So my father wasn't learned in the Quran. I bet you he probably didn't even know how to read the Quran. Growing up in a Pakistani village, okay, and he would have just gone through the motions of. I never once remember through my childhood, growing up, into my late teens, him going to Friday prayers.
Okay.
For Jummah.
Yeah. So that's interesting, and it even reminds us because I've seen this. For example, you'll see in like in Iran. They'll attack apostates, and in the actual decree or whatever arrest warrant, they don't talk about them in a religious sense. They say like they are national traitors, and all of this reminds me, and this is a point I think a lot of non-Muslims don't get, which is that Islam it's not just like in Christianity a faith I have in Jesus. It's like a political thing. It's just I'm part of the ummah. I'm part of this group, and it doesn't matter what I really believe in my heart. And that's why it's seen almost like a national betrayal. You've betrayed the ummah, you've betrayed our people, you've betrayed us. And I've always, because most people think it's just like the parent or whoever who gets angry at the son who apostatizes, it's because they are fervent believers. But more often than not, it's not. It's just it's honor in our thing, and you've betrayed it.
And that word betrayal. Is something that we were hounded and persecuted because of what they deem as betrayal.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah. You don't see that in like Christianity. If a person apostatizes, maybe a family member will be upset, but they don't see it as a sort of, a tribal. It's tribal.
It's tribal.
It's tribal. And this is why I always say Islam, the genius of Muhammad, is he took the tribalism of his own worldview and he re-articulated it in a theological paradigm. So now when you apostatize and you leave the religion, it's like you've betrayed your tribe, which is the worst thing you can do.
And as you know full well, it's a one-way street.
Yeah, of course.
You're born to this thing, you enter.
You have no choice.
But you can't leave.
Yeah.
And so I found out the hard way.
Okay, so continue, please.
Actually, even my grandfather, my mother's father, my uncle, I've gone in, into a pub and whatever. They're all sat there around the table drinking. So it was a kind of across the board. There was those that didn't drink.
In other words, it's okay for you to stay in. It's okay for you to do things that go against Islam and Sharia, but you don't leave the tribe.
No. It always, it never ceases to amaze me. We have a situation where in UK, and I'm sure you've heard this, so you have Pakistani Muslims, men of my age, first generation, right down to their sons and grandsons, huge sellers of drugs, huge. But somehow that's halal. That's okay.
I know.
Because they're benefiting, right? Yeah.
It's just infidels and kuffar anyway.
Yeah, that's right. In a nutshell, all is permissible as long as it suits.
Yeah, as long as it helps me and the religion somehow.
And it is so farcical. You really couldn't make it up. You couldn't script it if you tried. So here I am, in my honesty. No, I reject Muhammad. He's a false prophet. Okay, you don't have to have PhDs to figure out the seerah, his life, the marriage of Aisha, he takes away his adopted son's wife.
Says God told me.
God told me that has a convenient revelation, and Zainab, and this poor kid.
Yeah.
These were young people in love with each other. He sees her, lusts after her. Zaid refuses to give her up, goes away, has a convenient revelation, comes back, and I know that a lot of Muslim females have had a lot of difficulty. So if
And just so people understanding who are not familiar with the story, what you're saying is Muhammad basically, he saw because it was his adopted son too.
Yeah.
And he saw her scantily clad. He entered the house and he started desiring her. And then Zayd basically, like you said, he left her. And then Muhammad still couldn't take her until he got a revelation, a verse that's in the Quran, basically saying it's good. You should take her. And then, you probably, I don't know if you know this, but this anecdote is actually what led to the ban on adoption in Islam. You're not supposed to adopt technically because of that. Because the problem was it was his son through adoption. And so that's why he couldn't. But then, so because of that, now, because adopting creates problems, you can't adopt.
Actually, I didn't know that. Yeah.
And it goes to that. So it's a double whammy, this particular verse and anecdote.
Yeah. So when one looks at Aisha, the child bride, and such like, how can you possibly believe that this man is a prophet? And
this is just so you know, because you're a Christian. Yeah. When you look at the earliest historical writings from Christians who were contemporaries of Muhammad and thereafter, that's all they said. Basically, kind of like, how can you believe in this? Everything that this man says and does is so obviously opportunistic. It's all carnal. It's always made for his followers to give them the gain, plunder women. And he gets even more. And it's kind of like, how can anyone, literally right from the beginning with John of Damascus in the 7th and 8th century, but thereafter, that's what every Christian theologian was like. This was an imposter who created a creed that just to give men what they want.
Yeah, and so...
And then, and when they die, they get rewarded.
They get rewarded, that's right, yeah. When on planet Earth, you're limited to 4 wives, right? And you can't drink alcohol, but you're in paradise.
Rivers of wine.
In Jannah,
supernatural women.
Is it right to say boys scatter like pearls?
Yes, that's in the Quran, yes.
Yeah.
Very handsome, beautiful boys that are scattered like pearls.
Yeah.
And it's mentioned in the context of an afterlife and also copulating with the Huris, which are these supernatural women who are made for the express purpose of sexual gratification. So how can anyone look at that and say this is divine, this is God?
It's a no-brainer.
Yes.
So, and I know there's many, I can't quantify numbers, but they're trapped. There's many like me, but they're trapped. People say I'm brave, and I sometimes wonder, again, as I express the terminology, I'm a fool for Christ. But mostly, brother, how dare they, as those who are born to immigrant parents, dare impose this death sentence on me and my family? How dare they, The audacity of these people, it's beyond logic.
So tell us how do we don't know.
Sir,
so let's get to that.
Yeah, so I'm in Bradford, 96, I converted. So one of my closest friends, British-born Pakistani like myself, and he was very supportive. He was an extended member of my family, if you like, the way he treated me. And so some months later, after I rededicated my life, if you like, after coming back from Pakistan, burying my brother, I started going to church. And actually, if I can digress a little bit and say that my wife, I had a typically arranged marriage. It's very big. I can't say for the Egyptians, but arranged marriage, I'm sure.
No,
it's a cultural thing, isn't it? Yeah. So my father arranged my marriage, actually, back in '88. My wife was born and raised in Pakistan, actually. So I wanted to be a subservient son and a dutiful son. And I went along with their wishes, and I got married, and my wife joined me the following year after all the paperwork was submitted and blah, blah, blah. And so she joined me in marriage, and And so, but through work, we settled over in Bradford, which is 130 miles away from the centre of UK. It's going north, West Yorkshire, if for those people who don't know. And we settled in a place called Bradford. And actually, there were large pockets of Pakistani, Muslims in certain areas. But again, life was serene. It was okay, not a problem. But then, of course, they've doubled and trebled in number and all the rest of it. But so I converted and I came back to the faith and reconverted. And anyway, my wife found out after 3-4 Sundays and she challenged me and I said, I'm a Christian. Her natural reaction was to pull my 4-year-old son and my 2-year-old daughter away from me. And I thought I was going to lose her. But through the church and some friends, I was able to persuade her to come to church with me. She met with Pakistani Christians. She was able to engage with them and speak to them and read the Quran and the Bible, beg your pardon, as opposed to the Quran. And eventually she came to faith. So the Lord done a small miracle there, actually. But then going back to my friend, and he told me directly to my face, don't you ever, in no uncertain terms, not to knock his door ever again. Yet this is a friend. We went to nightclubs together. Went to the local pub. We weren't big drinks or anything. It's just a way of socializing. He smoked, he drank, messed around. But yet he's saying to me, no.
When it comes to that,
you've betrayed the faith and such like, and you've betrayed our prophet. And I said to him, I've never betrayed your prophet. I don't know your prophet. But that was it.
He doesn't know his prophet.
No, he doesn't know his prophet. That went out like wildfire.
So he exposed you.
He exposed me. And then next thing you know, you're isolated, you're cut off. They can't leave you at that. And then that's when the trouble started. So others join in. They know you, you don't know them. Any given opportunity, you're kuffar, you're kafir, usual scenario, labeling and demoralizing, threatening. Threats become further threats.
And these are people that didn't know you.
These are people that don't know me.
But they're
in the locality of the area.
They got wind because of your ex-friend.
Yeah, so I'm now kuffar.
He denounced you.
He denounced me, and they all jump on board, and they all feel this contempt and hatred.
Are these Muslims in general or mostly Pakistani?
Mostly Pakistani. And then all hell breaks loose, and then what you find is they target. My cars were being torched.
And you're just minding your business. All you've done is they found out you're a Christian.
Exactly that. God forbid there's no retaliation on my part. But then, as I say, all hell just breaks loose.
They burned a car?
They torched my car. Yeah. My wife actually, she was screaming. I woke up and I saw her orange glow in the ceiling. She stood by the window. I jumped to the window. My car was in 7-foot flames. And I screamed at the pit of my stomach, not because of the car, realizing how personal and how dangerous this was becoming. By now, we had 4 children, 3 girls, oldest was a boy. And
this is Bradford.
It is now 35% Pakistani Muslim, never counting other Muslim factions, and people. And so 3 cars were written off, once outside church. It became so bad, the insurance company said to me, we cannot insure you. You are a walking liability. The police, I have to stress this, and I can't stress it enough. The police going back in the year sort of from 96 onwards were absolutely appalling. And I've been on record on national news to say to them, to the news, the people, the police signed my death warrant. So this went on for several years.
How so? Like they didn't respond?
They just were not responsive. They were making all sorts of excuses. And bearing in mind, Islamophobia wasn't a big word then. And they had it in their mind, actually. One police guy said to me, stop trying to be a crusader and move out of the area. And others would say, you belong in a white middle class area. And I'm saying, excuse me, sir, this is not Pakistan. This is not Saudi Arabia. As far as I know, I'm born and raised in England. Why are you telling me to move out my home when I've done nothing wrong? Why aren't you making arrests? So there was this political correctness back at that time. You know,
96.
this is 96, actually, and so they just didn't have the stomach to tackle this, and they didn't accept me as an apostate. And I said, I can't understand how this is happening in this country. Why is it happening toward me and my family? I don't have hundreds of thousands. I shouldn't have to relocate. And, you know, mostly I was just so resolute, and I just wanted to stand under British democracy and say no.
You wanted them to support you with all the freedoms that they've been preaching.
Yeah. And the churches failed. Bishops of Bradford, through the duration of our troubles over 2 addresses, turned their backs on me. Interfaith.
In what way?
Interfaith dialogue, Muslim friendship and dialogue. You know, it's a government policy as well. They want to sort of give the impression to the world, we are very friendly with the Muslims. We have this wonderful relationship. They are our friends. They are our brothers. And one foolish vicar saying, well, you know what? You know, they serve Allah and we serve the God of the Bible. But you know what? It's a one God. And, you know, we're on different paths, and it all leads to one point of God and stuff like that, you know. And so, and fear by way of association, you know. So this went on at the first address.
So from the authorities, from the police to the bishops, it's a mixture of political correctness, fear, appeasement.
All these things.
All that.
All these, all these things.
And nobody there is bothering to say, wait, this man lives in England, he deserves to be protected, and we need to do what's right.
We mustn't upset.
This helps explain why we are where we are, by the way.
Absolutely.
In Britain.
You know,
this bodes to where we are.
Raymond, honestly, you know, time doesn't afford me. We could go on and on and on and on. But ultimately, Sharia enforcement. And they've allowed it. And actually, they've not tackled it. Elitists, careerists, politicians, governments past and present, they've all pandered to the Muslim vote. Why? Because they've troubled in their numbers. I saw this taking place before my eyes over the years, where whole neighborhoods had become predominantly Pakistani Muslim, whole neighborhoods. White flight, the English taking off. In a sense, you can't blame them, you know, because it's utter lawlessness with impunity. I would say there's this demonic spirit behind it. This is, you know, the sword, you know, and so they seem to me unstoppable, beyond reproach. Okay, and so we're doing our best. I'm trying to keep a job down, trying to raise a family. And it got to a point sort of at the first address, several years later, we moved from one location to another location. And there's an expression, jumping from the frying pan to the fire. And unfortunately, that's what I seem to have done. And it started...
Still in Bradford? Or?
It's still in Bradford. My wife, bless her, she didn't drive. And so I had to be near schools, and I had to be near my workplace. So I went into another area. Looking back, I suppose you could call it predominantly Pakistani Muslim. But again, I just felt that, look, these were predominantly young men in the first area. Maybe things will change. Unfortunately, 2 years after we relocated, I was approached by some documentary makers, Channel 4, and they wanted to do a program. It was called On the Holy War. And they realized that there is a grave problem with Islam, Christianity, Pakistani Christians, and converts And they said, Nissar, we've come across your story, and this is the worst case scenario in the UK. Would you like to contribute? And without even giving it a second thought, I said yes, because I feel so passionate about the fact that as a British born, under the democracy and freedoms that Britain afforded me, that we went through something that would have happened to us in Pakistan, actually, or the Middle East, or any other Islamic country, and it shouldn't happen, and I want to lend my voice. So actually, I contributed, the program was aired in September of 2008, and no sooner was it aired, a clan family on the same road then picked up where they left off in the last area. But it was actually worse because we're now dealing with grown men. I have to confess, I found them to be absolute cowards.
They always are.
They're cowards, you know. It's mob rule, lawlessness, again, fueled by contempt, and to uphold the honor of their prophet. My wife would go into certain shops, and somebody in the queue would say, "Don't serve her. She's a Christian. She's a kafir." And
Would they not serve her?
They would not serve her. Other times, somebody would say, look very uncomfortable, say, the cashier would say, "That is for her and her maker, we're going to serve her." I've gone to garage appointments, and the Pakistani owner has said to me, "You've dishonored our prophet, get your car out of here." So the hostility, it just knows no bounds. And I'm looking at people who've had checkered past. So this clan family, one was a pimp and a heroin user and a seller. His brothers were pimping off the pimp. Actually, others were drinkers and such like. And because you have decent people within the community who have said, "We're very sorry. These are disgraceful people. This is their past," and yet they dare impose this type of, rhetoric on you. But they don't even know their own religion, because they would also end up like them if they knew anybody that leaves Islam, as again we've mentioned, we know full well the consequence. But nevertheless, they're good people. But the good few are irrelevant. They don't mean nothing because they don't stand up. They also are terrified of repercussions, and again, they're open to all sorts of abuse or assault, whatever. It is an inherently violent religion, if ever I've known it. And I would say to anybody, please, when you kick this religion, be very mindful how you go, how you do things. You need to get out completely, isolate yourself, and be free. We've supported ex-Muslims. Again, I have this name tag, British National Face for Christian converts from Islam. It all sounds very lovely. Nobody wants to be stood up and counted, but they're all sort of, from the sidelines, they're all saying, yeah, oh, well done, Nissar, and yeah, we're with you, but they're not with me. So there is a grave issue. It is a failure of the state. And if you heard of this appalling Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, he has opened up the Great Hall of Parliament, the mother of all parliaments, for the Ramadan breaking of fast. What they call that now? The lovely rosy name, iftar.
Oh, iftar, yeah.
When we were growing up, Raymond, we never heard of these things. You never knew what iftar was. It was just simply opening a fast, closing a fast. That was it. And all these wonderful names, and he celebrates with them. For a godless man who's an openly atheist, he stood there, invited all Muslim members of parliament, as well as others, and celebrating Eid. There he is, taking the dates and chomping away. He's even recently, yet again, he's announced how the Muslim community of Britain have been such a valuable attribute to Britain, actually, and they've been so marvelous in lifting Britain from the doldrums, post-war, blah. No such thing.
I know.
85% of them are on benefits. Yeah. They have the #1 drugs record, actually. Rape gangs, rape jihad.
The grooming gang.
They call it rape jihad. Yeah. We know that.
Yeah.
One can go on and on. Mass migration. They're raping and pillaging. You do wonder before long whether there's going to be civil war. But we are trying, through the Legalized Apostasy campaign, to raise the awareness, actually challenge 11 murderous countries. You know how it is. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Mauritania, Pakistan, Nigeria. It used to be Sudan, but they've recanted the death sentence. South Sudan. Yeah. So, on their statute books mandating the death of apostates.
Well, but what else happened to you? Was that it? Just
well, sir. The first, there's two parts, as you say. The first part, and forgive me for digressing.
That's okay.
There is so much to unravel, unpack.
I know.
And then the second address, we landed there actually in 2006, after the program, as I was saying.
Yeah.
So our trouble started all over again.
Did they recognize you?
They recognized me. They kept me quiet. But when I contributed on the Dispatches documentary, it's called Unholy War. People can look it up. Actually, and they
Unholy War.
Unholy
Is
War.
It on like YouTube?
Or... Yeah. I believe it's been taken down, but we have got something to give to you. Yeah. So there were other contributors, Pakistanis, Christian contributors from a third, fourth generation, saying that how they live in fear in England, because they are Christian and they're in Muslim surroundings, and so they're suffering just like they would be in Pakistan under the Blasphemy law, the infamous 295C Blasphemy law. And actually, so, yes, sir. And so we then suffered the cosh of Sharia enforcement all over again. But this time it was much worse. We're now talking with grown men, and it culminated in a brutal attack on me whilst getting my car.
And again, your car.
Yeah, and again, we can send you stuff for that.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, and so I reported these things to the police. I would go to the mosque, have a conversation with them, to talk to the imam.
They attacked your car, vandalized it?
They wrote up my car numerous times, and they were using every sort of element or every person.
They were terrorizing.
It's acts of terrorism and terror.
Yeah.
And actually, it does affect your psyche. It affects you,
Of course.
And again, if I was born in Saudi Arabia or Pakistan, one could accept their faith.
Yeah.
I'd be hung, drawn, and quartered.
Yeah.
But and I refuse to accept my fate in UK. And so it's just a case of get him by any means necessary. And again, Raymond, you know full well, it's designed in such a fashion to bring you back to Islam through fear and terror. Yeah. I do know of a convert that did go back. I don't think he believes in Islam whatsoever, but he went back because not only did they see my troubles, but they were terrified. So I don't see myself as a tough guy, but I see myself as somebody that wanted to stand on lawfare and British freedoms, democracy, and British protection. And so I was resolute in that respect. Okay. But unfortunately, they are a lawless bunch, and the police and they use this word Islamophobia. Would I be right in saying that it was something that was initiated or invented by the Muslim Brotherhood from the time of 9/11 to deflect from
the Islamophobia? Yeah, that word has become so weaponized.
Yeah.
I've dealt with it too in a very mild way, of course. For example, I've been invited by the U.S. Army War College here in the United States, prestigious university, and to talk about history, talk about one of my books, and CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, and all these would come up screaming Islamophobia, 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 to the point that in this case, the War College acted in classic British fashion and they rescinded my invitation. But eventually they gave it out because enough people heard about it and got very angry and wrote to their congressman, and it was like a big petition.
Wow.
So they finally reinstated it. But again, it goes to show you the power.
You've had,
of course,
yeah.
The power of a word to shut you up, like the word racist. Yeah,
here in the States.
Here in the States, yeah, it's not quite as bad as Britain, but as I always say to people, it's on the same trajectory.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, actually, we were here a few months ago in February, so I was invited to on a panel. And Raymond, honestly, I don't see myself anywhere near your caliber. but the knowledge of Islam, it doesn't interest me.
No,
I
don't blame you.
I've trashed it decades ago. Yes, I could pick it up.
Moved on.
But I suppose I'm more learned now in Sharia. Again, not a scholar, not an expert, but certainly more aware of Sharia now at this stage, going through the problems over the years, the troubles, than I ever was. But anyway,
it's personal.
Yes, absolutely. And then you want to warn the West, you want to warn America. So we came along and we went to the Patriots Academy. Actually, if you've heard it, I don't know. And the great man, probably your colleague, Bill Federer, Chris Denham, who worked, alongside the Patriot Academy, one or two other people. And I said, listen, I shared my experiences. We were talking. I said, you've got 5 years. And the brother turned around and he said, he's an Indian brother. He turned around and he said, you're being too generous to us, Nissar. We don't have 5 years. We have 2 years. So I thought, wow, I didn't realize how serious it was, actually. You see it in New York, with especially this Mamdani fella, but I didn't know how serious it was up until when I came back in February, and I realized, goodness me, there's a crisis going on here in the States,
Oh, yeah. But before we get to that, okay, so before we leave your sort of personal story, because I have a lot of questions to ask you in general, and are we done, or are there more attacks on you? Or?
Well, sir, that was, I was getting into my car, November 2015. I'd reported to the police. I've had these mosque meetings. It's been revealed to me that this clan family is going to have me done over. The police dismissed it as per usual. And a few months later, I was getting to my car and I got pounced by these, if you like, baseball wielding thugs, and
Masked?
Yes. And I was quite brutally pummeled.
They beat you up with baseball bats?
With baseball, yeah. I actually fell backwards and hit my back of my head on a wall. I was concussed and I was just almost out of the count. And they pummeled me mercilessly, And I remember thinking, Lord, this is it. And the best I could do was to put my hand over my head and stop it from being bludgeoned in. And by the grace of God, 2 Polish gentlemen, at some point, after when pummeling was going on, came to my aid, saw these thugs off, by which time I ended up being kneecapped, then suffered a smashed hand.
Roughly how many of these thugs were there?
There was 3 of them.
3 of them?
Yeah.
And they just blindsided you? You were entering your car?
Exactly that. I was getting in my car to park it at a local police station, because that's the only place it was safe, to park at the police car park. So they knew my movements.
This is daytime or nighttime?
Nighttime in the fall. And also this clan family were forever, I was being watched. So it was very easy.
So if the Polish men didn't come, they might have killed you.
I wouldn't be here now. Or I would have been seriously damaged,
I think I saw a picture of you, or like there's a picture of you in the hospital.
That's right.
You look quite wrecked.
Yeah. They gave me a good.
It's a good thing it was Polish men, because I think it was a British man. They might not have helped, because it would have been Islamophobic.
God bless them. They were selfless and very courageous. Because at one point I almost felt to go to Poland or Hungary with my family for safety. because as you know,
Yeah, they don't have Muslim migration.
they don't have,
Very safe there.
very safe, yeah. But yes, sir. So it is just an absolute failure of state.
So how is your safety now? I mean,
So it took me 7 months to get back on my feet. Every day again, we're under siege. No police protection. Actually spent 11 days in hospital. And what to do? You've got to try and carry on.
you live in hiding, I assume?
Yeah, the police came the following year, armed police, 10 armed police, in a SWAT-style operation. Blocked the rear road, the rear gate, front door, front road, and they almost came crashing through the doors, fully cocked, ready to go. Established it was me, Nissar, Hussain, and we have intelligence to suggest your lives are in imminent danger. We can't leave you out of our
This is
sight.
after that attack.
This is a year to the day after the attack, November 2016. And that year, I can't express to you again what I went through. One of my daughters was at a very crucial point in her A-levels. So we had to keep on going. And so I did. By which time the armed police said, look, we will not allow you to walk out of our sight because we have strict orders to take you out of here, to take you to a safe house. And I said, sir, with respect, I'm not going with you people. I'm not going to any safe house. I don't trust you. And I explained to him the failures of all the years. And he said, he conceded, I really don't know why it's come to this. And I do believe it should never have come to this. But we are the armed division. The community police have failed you. We're here to protect you with our lives, and we'll do so. So there was a bit of wrangling because they wanted me to hang around, and I said no. So I spoke to the inspector and I said, we're leaving. So he said, Mr. Hussain, please listen. You're gonna have to come back to the home to clear the home, take your belongings. And I said, yes, that's the intention. Please take my number. Every time you step foot into Bradford, would you call me? My men will meet you and they'll take you to your home, check your home, make sure it's okay for you to enter. They'll stay with you throughout the course of you packing boxes and whatever you need to do, furniture, whatever you need to do, take you back out of Bradford, leave you to go on your way, and until you finish doing what you need to do to sell the house. So I said to him, that sounds fair, I can do that. So we've done that for the next 7 months, actually. And then so going back to that day, we left Bradford with the shirt on my back, and we pulled out my daughter from her exams, her GCSE exams and stuff, and my 7-year-old, and we landed in the place where we were. And so the police there found out somehow, and they said, please, will you allow us to give you protection? So we've been living under police protection. It'll be 10 years this coming November in a obscure place where there is no other Pakistani, no other Muslims. We are the only place in the history of this particular place we live in. The church goes back 1,000 years. There's been no other brown-skinned people besides myself and my family. But you know what, brother? Good morning, good afternoon, typically English, not a problem. Civility. England is at a very, very precarious place. It's at a tipping point. And I have never known this kind of barbarity, such as what was happening with second, third generation and with the push of Sharia and all things Islamic.
What is going on? Okay, so, I mean, that's just an amazing story, and it's really tragic because, you're living in England, you've become Christian, and you'd think you would get all the sorts of protection, you get everything, and of course, what you've told us, of course, comports with what we know, and we know this is why Britain is the way it is now, obviously, so that makes sense. Now, these younger generations, the second, third, who are becoming radicalized, as they say, What do you think that's all about? Because it's very interesting for me when I study Islam and I study societies in general. Generally, people become more liberal over time. Okay, and especially if they move to a liberal place, like if they leave from the Islamic world, like your father did, and he comes to somewhere like England, yeah, he's prone to go have a drink with his mates and that sort of thing. So how does one explain these younger people who are born there and raised there, and yet they become much more radicalized and Islamic and Sharia toting and all that sort of thing?
Yeah. Well, they set themselves up for the Khalifa, the Caliphate.
Yeah.
As Muhammad said, when you're a minority, obey the law of the land. When you become a majority, push for Sharia. And this is exactly...
So they feel strong.
They feel strong.
Yeah.
They're emboldened, you know, and so...
And it doesn't help when the authorities act the way they do.
They can't help themselves, and so you have Pakistani Muslim MPs. My MP is a Muslim. Naz Shah, she's actually in the States here now, promoting a book. She portrays herself as a victim of arranged marriage victim, actually, and campaigning, being a young campaigner when her mother, who was divorced, had an affair, which is a big taboo, and ended up poisoning her lover, ended up in prison, left the children destitute or in a home, and she calls herself a campaigner. She's actually flittering around various mosques and Pakistani Muslim settings promoting her book. She turned her back on me on 3 failed appointments. And the third appointment was, I need to take some advice and I will get back to you. And she never did. So you have Muslim MPs, you have them in the judiciary. We had police officers who were Muslim that were playing down and brushing things.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. When you were talking about the police experience that you've had, my thought was, I know, of course, native British white police are politically correct and afraid of the label Islamophobia and racism. DEI. Right, yes. But I was also wondering, to what extent are there, amongst the authorities and the police, Pakistanis and Muslims, who are influencing?
Okay, so I can't quantify the percentage, Raymond, but I can tell you now that I was looking at a report just earlier today, and they always have the Muslim Council of Britain of this, the Muslim police officers, blah de blah that. So the Pakistani Police Muslim Council, I might not have it in the right order, they actually have dismissed, if you like, or played down October 7th. They're openly saying Israel is the culprit, they're the Zionists, and they are committing genocide, actually. And so there's been a big fuss about that. It's been taken down from their platform. So there's a big sway. Shabana Mahmood, she's the Home Secretary, yeah? Muslim. She's been on record on TV to say she takes her inspiration and guidance from her religion. I've actually, on a news interview, I have said openly, does Shabana Mahmood want me dead? And the news gentleman, he was lost for words. And I said, what does she have to say about apostasy, if you like, towards that effect? Does she want me dead? And so under the wonderful guise, Taqiyya, wonderful guise of British people upholding British democracy, but I know, you would know, that's far from it actually. So this is what's happening, this was taking place. So across the board, they are pushing for Islam. Look, Keir Starmer, just a matter of weeks ago, has said he is pushing for an anti-Islamophobia law. He's already nominated a czar, an anti-Islamophobia czar. Okay, and so he says that they've made such a valuable contribution, he can't do any wrong. And by the way, they've just elected 600 Pakistani councillors across UK. They have kicked Keir Starmer in the teeth by going independent. They've got themselves voted as local councillors on the ticket of Gaza, Kashmir, the conflict between India and Pakistan over Kashmir, and all things Islamic. This is where it's gone now. They were traditional Labour voters because they feel that the Starmer's let them down because of the Gaza issue. They have openly been voted in by their communities on the Gaza ticket. This is in UK. It is a mess.
What do you make of, okay, no other country, no other civilization, I often say this, if we leave the West, if we leave especially Britain, and you go to Pakistan or Africa or Egypt or any other Latin America, the people who are there, the natives, don't let this happen, okay? What is going on in European nations like Britain? What are they naive? Are they stupid? Are they just so paralyzed by words like racist and Islamophobe? Are they just godless? Are they what's going on to explain this?
Yeah, so
it's unnatural.
Yes, so a mixture of those things.
Okay.
You've heard this red-green lines, right?
Well,
we have red-green lines in UK. So there's a big liberal thing going on with the Muslims, vice versa. So they're using them, they're in bed with each other. And you know what happens once they, like Khomeini, once they get in, what happens to the liberals there and the communists and whatever? They have their heads
useful idiots.
Usually,
yes.
yeah. So you have that. There's been this massive drive since the 80s of multiculturalism. Be yourself, and of course they're taking full advantage. Okay, the DEI, and you know I mentioned earlier about the sad case of Henry Novak, this poor 18-year-old English young man who got stabbed several times, 5-6 times at least. And what happened? The Sikh, which is quite unusual, I have to confess, because they're very patriotic, very hard-working people. Who've integrated.
They're often contrasted against the Muslims. Yeah. Like they're the good ones.
And they've integrated wonderfully well, you know. And so as soon as the police arrive, he gets his foot in. Well, what could the poor kid do? He was bleeding out, and he said, "Well, he took my turban off. He's racially abused me." The police guy, if you can't honestly,
I heard him.
But weep, you heard it.
Yeah, where he's like, I don't think so, mate, when he said I'm dying. Or
that's right. And I've been stabbed. No, you're not, mate. Mate.
You're a racist.
Yeah. They handcuffed him, Rivers right. He bled out in front of them, died. Indoctrinated DEI, multiculturalism. So they have gained this power. They've been emboldened through multiculturalism. The English masses have been dumbed down. You tweet something, doesn't matter what your status, who you are, you've got 10 police officers at your door, you're nabbed, arrested.
That's just amazing to me.
Yeah. You're nabbed.
It's like a police state.
Yeah, that's what it's become.
Thought crime.
Against its own people. Yeah. So these are the things that have happened over many years. So
is there an agenda? Why is this happening? Is it organic or is it by design?
By design, the leftists. Keir Starmer, he's a terrible fellow. Yeah. He's a complete lefty, you know. And so he was a human rights lawyer. Okay, and so votes, that's another factor. Because block Muslim votes, they can sway big decisions, right? So he's been pandering to them all this time, but they've now rejected him. So as I said to you, 600 local councillors. You go to the local council, they start off in Islamic prayer. So there is now this Islamization, and has been, of the UK. Well, Paris is burning, France is burning, Germany, the mass boats, the immigrants, is happening on a daily basis almost. And they fall in line with the Allah Brigade and working, you know, so.
What do you think of these parties, Restore and Reform?
Reform is our last hope. And I pray for the day that Nigel Farage becomes Prime Minister.
What do you think he will do to fix this? In what sense? Because if it is DEI and multiculturalism and wokeism and all these things, there's no leader that can just turn the switch off. These are embedded in the culture and psyche of the people.
Yes, but he's openly stated there's going to be a change. And if not, I can tell you now, Raymond, there's going to be civil war. And we don't want that. It's the worst kind, the worst thing that could ever happen to a country.
But even when you think, I mean, civil war does sound very much like where it's headed, but I often wonder, maybe the Starmer types, that's what they want, because once the white people pick up arms, that's when he gets even more power to just shut them all down and put everyone in jail. And you know what I mean?
It's a betrayal.
Yeah, of course it's a betrayal.
Yeah, I've actually said to, and again another interview on DB News, that because of this anti-Islamophobia law, and I was on there, and I said he's betrayed the Islam British people, and so. Fear.
Wars, the United States, the founders of America went to war for much less.
That's right.
For a tea tax.
Yeah.
So it's kind of amazing to see what's happening now, and people are just.
But I can show you now one thing. Knowing the British people and growing up with them, as I do, Islam is making big noises. The Pakistani Muslims are making big noises. They are openly shouting Sharia, jizya for the likes of me and you, and the English people in general. But I can tell you now, there is an awakening.
Yeah.
And when that Anglo-Saxon spirit rises, they'll be running for the hills.
When the Saxon begin to hate.
Yeah. They've wiped out cultures, and believe you me, they're a very tolerant people. It's the most tolerant country in the world, one of the most. I'm a fruit of that. But I can assure you now, a time is coming where something is going to have to give. And I appreciate we come from concerning Nigel Farage, but they've spelt it out. Zia Yusuf, the second in command, as you know, I really enjoy this, and it's quite refreshing. They're going to stop the boats. That's by design. And they're going to sort of, like President Trump, mass deportations. Remigration, and turn this thing around, because they realize they're not going to have a country left. It's simple as that. It's perilous times. It's perilous. And we ourselves, by the grace of God, what to do? But so hopefully there'll be, through the Legalized Apostasy campaign, we'll raise this thing. Reform, we know Islam is not willing to reform. How can we reform? It's divine. It's a command of Allah, but where do people like us go? It's a mixture of things. 3 or 4 different marriages, 8, 10, 12 kids. You can see where this is going.
And then living on jizya in the form of welfare benefits.
And recently the government have said they will welcome anybody, polygamous marriages, and give them benefits. It's happening here in the States. So Australia is happening there. They recognize polygamous marriages. It's cultural suicide.
Can you enter into the mind of a radical Pakistani Muslim, as they're called? How do they see what's happening? Do they just, how do they interpret the Brits? Are they just stupid, naive people, and we're exploiting them?
Exactly that. The kuffars, you know what I mean? And so the benefit money or anything they get, it belongs to them. It's just, it's expected. It has,
I saw, remember Anjem Choudhury? Yeah. I saw a video of him once where he was speaking about, because I think he had several wives and multiple kids, and he was getting welfare. And he said, well, the kuffar give us jizya. They owe me this,
So this is the mentality. So in essence, the superiority complex of Islam. And we know that that's not the case. But in their mindset, they are superior.
We're superior, and we're going to exploit you people because you're inferior.
And strip you bare. Plano, North Texas. What is it? Minnesota. billions have been defrauded. They don't feel any way.
No
It's
compunction whatsoever.
No compunction, yeah. So I think the West definitely now needs to wake up. It needs a radical shift of attitude.
You're putting an exploitative, parasitic, shameless element amongst the high trust, kind of ethical, group. And what's going to happen? What's going to happen is what we see.
Yeah. I have an Afghanistani friend of mine, a convert. I've known him for donkey's years in Birmingham. And he turns around and said, he calls them parasites.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says this Sadiq Khan, the London mayor, that's another issue. They're in prominent positions and they push all things Islamic.
They go do that Trafalgar Square mass prayer.
Segregated.
Yeah.
Actually, non-inclusive. The prayer, the Shahada, the Ramadan prayer, which, as you know, is pouring out every curse under the sun.
Against
against
Christians and Jews.
Yeah. And these silly people, these liberals, so these liberals will be dealt with, and so there will be. We have to remain hopeful, and so otherwise we're doomed.
What are your final thoughts? So what words of wisdom, because you have a very unique experience and background, and you can, give some really insightful words to your countrymen, the Brits, based on your experiences and your history. And, you've already shared a lot, but what's your final warning, your final, what needs to be done?
They need to resist Sharia while they can. Actually, and they need to really wake up and smell the coffee. There is an awakening. There is awakening.
You think it'll be sufficient?
Because you know what? Again, it's that Anglo-Saxon spirit. If it doesn't happen now, because when you look at the demographics and you see whole areas and parts of the country which are predominantly Muslim, they're imposing Sharia. So it's do or die. And so I don't believe that Anglo-Saxon spirit is going to allow it to happen. And so there are people, call them certain section of people. I don't want to get into too much, Raymond, because I don't want to give the game away. But the fact is, sir, that they are going to stand strong and they will resist. America needs to resist, and I believe under President Trump, I believe he gets it, he understands it, and he's been decisive, and it needs a decisive leader, and we're not going to get it with Starmer. Nigel Farage is our last hope before civil war. That's my gut feeling, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's very sad.
Okay, Nissar, thanks very much for taking some time and spending it with me and sharing your amazing story, and I hope your prognosis comes to pass.
Thank you so much, Raymond. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you.
God bless you.